Howdy folks, welcome to Great Escape Farm's YouTube video on harvesting and cooking stinging nettle. Today we're going to go over some of the plant specifics here, and then we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to harvest some of the leaves here. We're going to run them inside, wash them, cook them up. We're going to make tea, we're going to saute some, and we're going to dehydrate some for future use. So this is my stinging nettle patch here. I'll explain a little bit about that in a moment. There's a little bit of information about it. So stinging nettle is Urtica dioica. It's a herbaceous plant. It is self-fertile as far as the seeds. We use the leaves as well as the roots. Let's see, it likes fertile soil, it likes moist soil, and it has to be well drained. pH is from 5 to 8. Its taste is like spinach, and years to harvest is 1. I'm sitting at about 3 or 4 years on mine, and the USDA hardiness zones are pretty much all over the US and Canada, zones 3 to 10. And I show it here as 2 to 4 feet. I've actually seen a lot of things online saying that it is 2 to 7 feet tall. So I actually started out over here in this corner right here with, I think, 3 plants. And as you can see, it has kind of taken over this bed. This was a square foot garden bed. It has taken up a good full 9 feet of it. And let me put the camera down here so I don't give you too much vertigo. So it definitely spreads. It spreads via seed as well as underground rhizomes. So the name stinging nettle, and mine is a subspecies of Gracilis. It has coarsely toothed leaves on opposite sides of the stalk, with some of the leaves having a purplish color in the spring. They have stingers on the bottom of the leaves and on the stalks that become more pervasive as it gets further into the spring and further into the summer. The stingers are actually something called trichomes, which are like plant hairs, if you will. They have bulbulous tips that break off when they're rubbed against, and then they act like hypodermic needles that inject you with a concoction of histamine and other chemicals that produce a stinging sensation that can last up to 12 hours. The best time to harvest is when they're in early spring, when they're 2 to 3 inches tall, and I'm a little bit beyond that right now. Although we're early spring, we had an early spring this year in zone 7, and these things are in some cases 6 and 7 inches tall. You can also harvest new growth from the tops of the plants all the way up until they flower. According to Wikipedia, after the nettles enter the flowering and the seed stage, the leaves develop cistylates, which can irritate the urinary tract. So you don't want to really eat them after that. Stinging nettles spread via seeds and underground rhizomes, forming a dense colony, as you can see here in front of us. According to Wikipedia, this plant is very nutritious and it's high in vitamin A, C, iron, potassium, magnesium, and calcium. It also has a high percentage of protein for a green. Heating and cooking deactivates the stinging. The leaves can be dried to make an herbal tea in the sun or a dehydrator. Both of those will be hot enough to deactivate the stingers. They can also be blanched in boiling water and then cooled in ice water. And they can be cooked in either a skillet or an oven. Stinging nettle has a long history of medicinal uses, but most of the research done thus far seems relatively inconclusive, at least the references I saw online at WebMD and several others. Stinging nettle seeds and leaves are available at Amazon.com. I'll include a few links in the show notes of this YouTube video so you can go directly to YouTube. So one of the things I talked about in the introduction was about different pieces and parts of the plant that you eat. So obviously the leaves here. One of the other things is the rhizome here. So that would be the yellow thing going horizontally across here. So this is just a close-up look of the plant itself. You can see the stingers on here. Let me see how close I can get. You can definitely see it on the stalks there. And on the leaves, they're just starting to come out. They're not too bad yet, which is why I can touch these without getting stung too horribly bad yet in this video here. But what we're going to do is we're going to pull the leaves off like this, and we're going to fill up our pail here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay, I think I have enough here for show and tell purposes, so I got a pretty decent size amount in the bowl here. And you can see in the patch itself right here, it barely looks like I even touched anything. So. Okay, we are in the house, and the first thing we want to do is clean this up, or clean the leaves up. So we are going to give them a quick rinse and a dry. And what I'm going to do is just take some out and put it in a colander. I'll rinse it off, and then I'll lay it on a towel and dry it off that way. The other thing you could do is blanch it, and blanch it is basically kind of the same thing. You put it into a colander or something like that, and you dip it into boiling water, and that would immediately deactivate the stingers, and then you move it over to ice water, and the ice water will stop it from cooking. That way you can cook it up the way you want, be it saute or roast it or however you're going to cook it. So let me go ahead and just run some water over this. Actually, use this. Okay, I have the towels here, so let me back this off. Lay the towels out. Doesn't look clean, they're a little stained, but they are clean. And again, these have not been cooked, so these stingers are still active, so I do need to be careful here. I did end up wearing gloves when I was harvesting the majority of these because the stinging was just getting to be a bit much for me. Couldn't handle it barehanded. In another couple of weeks to a month, I definitely wouldn't be able to. Okay, I got it spread out for the most part, so I'll take this other towel, lay it over top, dry this off. And just a little bit more. Okay, these guys are dry. I'll go ahead and set them aside. Actually, that one can use a little bit more. Okay, so I have a lot of leaves here, and I don't want to store them in a multiple different bowls. So what I will do is go ahead and dehydrate them. So what I have here is an Excalibur food dehydrator. And we'll take a sheet out here, and what I want to do is lay individual leaves, oops, that came off a little bit, down, and I want a single layer here. I don't want to have multiple layers together. It'll take too long. I also want to make sure the leaves are completely dry, and this way they'll dry out, and then I can store them for longer term storage. So, okay, so we have this tray all set and ready to go. Let me see if I can do this one-handed over here without losing anything. We'll take it back over to the dehydrator here, and we will put this in, and I also have another tray up above it with leaves on it, and we'll put the lid on, which I'll have to adjust that later. That's not fully on. And what we want right here is temperature is set to 115. And we'll turn it on. It should take an hour and a half, 2 hours or so for this to go ahead and cook. And what we want to do is keep them in there until the leaves are brittle. Okay, so I have washed and dried the remaining nettle that is not going into the dehydrator. And I have avocado oil. I prefer to use avocado oil over some others because it can handle higher heat. I have that on, and right now we are cooking on medium-high heat. I can tell by the way the oil is moving around so easy that it's nice and warm. So I'm just going to go ahead and dump these on. And actually it might be a bit too warm. And what I'm looking for here is for these to get down so it's nice and tender. All right, soaked up the oil pretty quick. But we're doing twofold purpose here. We're doing this to cook the leaves itself, and it's going to cook down like spinach, so there's not going to be much. It's going to be a lot less once it cooks down here, kind of like spinach. And it's also going to take care of all the stinging issues that we have. And as far as measuring the oil, I just kind of dumped some in, and I'm going to add a little bit more here just because I want a a bit more in here, and avocado oil is a good healthy oil for you, so it doesn't hurt to have a little extra. And what I'm looking for is a good dark green on all the leaves. Still see a little bit of light green there, and once everything's all dark, I'll know that it is good and tender. And the stove right now is set for medium-high. I'm going to turn it back just a little bit. And we expect this to be about 2 to 4 minutes. And we're a little over 2 minutes at this point, so we're getting pretty close. One other thing I'm going to do is add in some garlic powder. So I have some good organic garlic powder. Okay. And oven's off, and this is what we have here. I'm going to let this cool down and grab a bite, and my guess is it's going to taste wonderful, but I will let you know. Okay, I'm back with an update. So I went ahead and I tried this after it cooled down, and the heat was on too high, so it actually ended up being more, instead of a consistency like cooked spinach, it ended up being almost like a cooked potato chip, which I love. So this is something I'm definitely going to do again. So my intent was lower heat and have it be sauteed and have it soft, but having it crunchy and just it was just absolutely delicious. So I'm definitely going to be doing that again. Next up, over here, I have a friend of mine, Armand, gave me some borage flower, chamomile, hibiscus flower, and stinging nettle in a tea. So this is one of the things you can do with your setup. So it's an infuser with a lid, is what this device is right here. It's kind of like a real fine strainer. So I put that in a cup, and then I take the dried tea, whatever I have, grabbed a teaspoon of that, and I put it in, and I let it steep for about 5 to 20 minutes, somewhere in there. Just get this in and just let it steep there, and I can smell it already. It just smells wonderful. So I will let that go ahead and cook up, and then I get some nettle along with some other good stuff in this tea here. Just a quick update while I'm waiting on my tea here. I ran a quick search earlier on different recipes that you can cook, and they have all kinds of different things for sauteing, making soups, casseroles, teas, pestos. There's loads of stuff you can do with stinging nettle. So just check that out online. Pull this out, and I'm just going to set it aside for right now, and hopefully you can see that nice kind of reddish purple color there, and I'm sure this is going to be absolutely wonderful. Oh, one other note I wanted to say, as far as drying the stinging nettle after you wash it, salad spinner would also work. So I didn't have one of those readily available, but that would have probably been better than the towels and stuff I was using. So I just came downstairs, and it's only been an hour and a half, but the stinging nettle is ready to go. It's all crispy, and you can see it just flakes right up there. So I will go ahead and pull these out and store them probably in a mason jar for a little while till I find some kind of a mixture to put them into. So that's it for this video. If you have any good recipes, please include them in the comment section. I'd love to add any recipes I can to my repertoire, as well as share it with audience members. Also, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. Thank you very much for tuning in, and have a great day.